It's your boy, Amreezy, and I'm back with another Road to Sorare Boss episode where we follow my journey in the wonderful world of Sorare. Last week I had a fairly good week for me. No big cards won, but for a sort of semi-beginner first year of playing Sorare, I won some market credits and a couple of boxes which I've been able to sort of trade, or I've been able to use my classic gallery still. I'm moving to in-season. I know I'm a bit late to the party, but I'm moving to the in-season party. So I've been trading cards to try and get in-season cards, getting rid of my classic to try and get more in-season Premier League. I'll show you which new cards I have, which new cards I've traded, which new cards I've bought with my market credits that I won. Also, Wolves. I'm backing Wolverhampton Wanderers. I'm picking up a few Wolves Premier League in-season cards. Why am I doing that? Yes, mainly because not everything's fully working upstairs. But also, that's how I quite like to play Sorare. I like to play on a bit of a budget. It's not a road to glory, it's a budget. I play on a bit of a budget, and I've identified Wolves. Maybe if they've got a good run of fixtures, turn their season around, maybe worth a punt at the prices. I'll show you all of that later. But let's start off this week's video looking at how I did last weekend in the wonderful world of Sorare. Right then, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. This is how I did last week in what was game week 21. There is a midweek set of fixtures that's currently live, but seeing as the English teams were playing in the Cup, which isn't covered on Sorare, I didn't have anything to get excited about midweek, so nothing really is happening midweek for me. Last weekend, though, as you can see here, 5 boxes, 5 things won out of a possible 17. That's fairly good for me. That's fairly good. We did have this special competition, which I did okay. 38 points away from the reward. Reece James coming back into that Chelsea team now. Good that I've got that Reece James card. He could become a key player. I think he'll get rested every European fixture, but maybe now play every Premier League fixture as long as he can stay fit. So fingers crossed, obviously, as a Chelsea fan, Reece James stays fit, but also for that Sorare card that I have, hopefully I'm going to get some more use out of this now. So, Reece James coming in, that was a highlight there. Premier League in season. It's back-to-back promotions for your boy Amreezy. Once again, my Nottingham Forest boys got me promoted. Another league, so that's 2 promotions in a row now. And I feel like they haven't fully hit the grip. They're still getting going. Nottingham Forest, still getting going. I've got good feelings about this Forest team. So, I bought them 2 or 3 weeks ago. This is my second week playing with them in season. I won a 2-star box, which is what actually gave me £5 market credits, 50% off market credits, which was nice. So I was able to buy a few more Premier League in-season cards, a few Wolverhampton Wanderers Premier League cards. What am I doing? Don't worry, we're going to get to that. We're going to talk about that. And then Cole Palmer obviously chipped in with a goal as well. So my tactic for the first Premier League season team has been Nottingham Forest featuring Cole Palmer. My second Premier League in-season team now is going to be Wolves, a bit of Bournemouth, and then a goalkeeper, a classic goalkeeper. So it's going to be more of a kind of even more budget Premier League lineup. But this is my main one. My main one is now in Division 4. Well, it will be Division 3 next week. So that went good. In Premier League Classic, Dwight McNeil did okay. Kovacic doing okay. Kovacic still enjoying some good scores while Rodri's injured, so enjoying that. But these guys, Everton let me down. Tottenham let me down. Newcastle didn't do great. Pope. In my other Premier League lineup, Chelsea did okay against Wolves. Jackson, a great card. Jackson was the right captain, but Madueke, Fernandes and Cucurella both didn't start, and Kepa was injured. So terrible week. I was lucky to stay in the league, considering goalkeeper didn't play and these 2 cards didn't start. But luckily with both of these cards, even when they don't start for Chelsea, they always seem to come off the bench. Enzo Fernandez always comes off the bench if he doesn't start. So not the worst score, but yeah, Jackson, the only thing to get excited about in terms of Chelsea. Bowen continuing his good form. West Ham with a surprise win against Manchester United. I don't know how much to read into that because I've got a lot of West Ham cards, and I did put this lineup together with 4 West Ham cards, thinking Man United are in a terrible position right now. It turned out to be Erik ten Hag's last game. They sacked him, and as I thought, West Ham would beat them. I was correct. The only thing I got wrong, how was I supposed to know, is that the manager suddenly decided to drop the goalkeeper. Areola suddenly gets dropped for Fabianski. Now, Luckily, before the season, I bought my little West Ham collection. I bought Fabianski for like 40p just to kind of give backup to my goalkeeper and help with my collection bonus. That's turned out to be a good purchase now. If Fabianski's now the number one goalkeeper for a little bit for West Ham, I've got Fabianski for future weeks. So I'll be playing Fabianski this weekend. And then if Fabianski gets dropped for Areola again, that's not a problem. I've got Areola waiting. So this lineup suffered a bit because John Duran seems to have stopped scoring. He might have 2 games in a row now where John Duran hasn't scored. So I don't think I'm going to be playing Duran in any of my lineups this week until he gets his shooting boots back or until he gets back in that first team. Or maybe I play him in the warm-up leagues that are less serious. And Areola didn't play. So if Fabianski had played or Areola had played, this could have been a really good lineup. But there's a silver lining, though, for me with West Ham. Maybe this is now a bit of confidence for West Ham. Maybe they get the season going. As someone who has a lot of West Ham cards, here's hoping. Then we had my warm-up league, which didn't go quite as I thought for Man City. I thought they'd beat Southampton by a lot more goals. They only beat them 1-0, so Stones, Foden, Haaland didn't do so great. Robertson is a card that I'm trying to trade away at the moment because Robertson might not be the Liverpool starting left-back anymore. He played midweek in the Cup where Liverpool played the B team. That might suggest Robertson is no longer first choice. His scores haven't been amazing, so I'm kind of maybe looking to probably try and sell Robertson, hopefully for an in-season card. So let's see what happens there. Champion, I did well in this one, my Champion Classic, because Jimenez keeps putting up good scores. Didn't score, but still puts up an 80. I watched the Fulham game. I think I watched this Fulham game, actually, because I've got Everton cards as well. And I wanted to keep an eye on them, see how Jimenez is playing. And he's really involved in everything. He's the target man, gets involved a lot. He's not one of those strikers like Chris Wood, who I have, who scores. If he scores, he gets a good score. If he doesn't score, he gets a bad score. Jimenez, even when he doesn't score, he's involved in play a lot. So we should keep seeing good scores from Jimenez now. So he's a highlight. Side Ben Rama keeps scoring for Lyon. Keeps giving me good scores for Lyon. There may be a possible injury now for Ben Rama. So I don't think he can play this week. I think he might be an injury doubt now. So I remember when I was building my lineups this weekend, I've not put Ben Rama in because he's like a 10% chance of playing. So let's hope he's not out for too long. Billy Gilmore at Napoli, put in a few good scores for Napoli. Munoz and Ramsdale, not too exciting. Lewis Cook, one of my in-season Bournemouth cards. Keep an eye on Bournemouth. I know I'm going for Wolves, but Bournemouth I'm also going for as my kind of trying to be a bit too clever, cheap picks for the Premier League. Bournemouth, last 2 games, they've drawn to Aston Villa away and they've beaten Arsenal. That is 2 good results from Bournemouth, and they've now got a nice chunk of fixtures. So Lewis Cook, played him mainly to build up his XP, but getting excited about Lewis Cook. Then we had a promotion and a box 1 in Challenger. Thanks to Calvo. Calvo's been putting up some great scores. I think someone in this channel, in the comment, recommended Calvo to me like a month ago or 6 weeks ago. I bought him and he's been a great recommendation. So thank you to whoever that is. Sorry, I've forgotten who you are. Josh Cullen, my boy at Burnley. Okay score from him. Was hoping against QPR at home. QPR, I think, are in the relegation zone. Was hoping Burnley would do better than that. But 76 points is not bad from a 0-0. Shows that he's a good card for Burnley. And then these 2 boys, disappointing. Contender, we won a box from our in-season contender team. We didn't get promoted, but in-season contender won a box thanks to the boys in Germany doing well, Cleffish doing well, and Marquez at Atlas doing well. 89 points from him, secured a box for my in-season. So this shows me, in-season, 295 points can win me a box. 306 points in Classic didn't win me a box. So if my goalkeeper had just had a better game, that could have been a better box as well. So those cheap purchases I was talking about 1 week ago or 2 weeks ago, where I was saying I'm just buying an in-season contender team just to kind of play one, because I've got 2 Atlas boys that I kind of think are good players from my Mexico knowledge. And, you know, these are okay scores. Not a great score from him, but because he got a yellow. But these 2 are still in the Mexican playoff contender, so they should have lots of games still. And then I bought a bunch of German, 2nd division German cards just from teams that are performing well in the league, in the top 3 teams. I think these guys are all playing for good German teams. So that's been my contender in-season strategy. and that's the first result I've seen from him. This is the second week I've done it, so that's not bad. Contender Classic, obviously POV keeps putting up big scores. Pereira, a card that I traded a few weeks ago, he's been doing well. And then these three boys, not great scores from them, but they're good cards. They're good cards. Sordo for Santos, somehow 101 from him, even though it was 0-0. He's just involved a lot. He takes set pieces. He plays up front at the moment, but he drifts out on the wings, gets crosses in the box. So he's looking like a good guy for Santos. They'll probably sell him because he's good. So let's see what happens there. Then we've got the goalkeeper and the defender from Santos that did well. So I won a box and a promotion for this classic team. I was saying I'm going to bank on Santos because even though they're in terrible form, Santos, they were playing Mazatlan, who are kind of similar position in the table, both doing terrible. So that ended up working. And then Paradella, who started the season so well for Necaxa. Paradella was putting up amazing scores every week. Look at these. This was Paradella earlier on in the season. Big scores, big scores. Now, not so good. So hopefully Paradella can sort his form out. But Necaxa are kind of falling off the cliff a little bit. They had a great start to the season, and I've got a Necaxa stack of 5 cards and a few more for the collection. And unfortunately, I'm not getting much use out of my Necaxa collection anymore. So that's a shame. Then we had the Under-23 League, which won us a good reward the previous week. I played the same team, but I brought in Kispe for whoever we played instead the previous week where we won a good reward. And he did okay. He came in with 76. Stukas continuing his amazing form, by the way. Stukas at Genk. Great scores after great scores. But these three all let me down. And then there were some training lineups where Chalobah at Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace beating Tottenham 1-0. Are Crystal Palace about to go on a good run of form? I secretly might be thinking so. And that might be a good link to which cards I've bought since last week, because we're going in season. We're going in season. So the cards that I bought since last week. The last cards that I bought were these cheap contender in-season cards. And I think the last card I bought was Loftus-Cheek. Loftus-Cheek was the last card that I bought last week that I was telling you about, because I bought him because he's an AC Milan regular. And he's helped with my Chelsea collection where I needed one more card to get to the 4% bonus. So Loftus-Cheek was the last card for that. Since then, I have bought 5 cards, and I've got one card in auction at the moment where half an hour it should end, and I'm hopefully going to buy another Wolves midfielder. Now, Lucas Itter, I bought him 45p, good scoring contender defender, and I kind of needed a contender defender, especially a good one. Plus, he's 24 years old, playing for a good team in the German second division. I love the German second division, it turns out. I had no knowledge of Bundesliga 2 before I started playing Sorare. Now I'm into Bundesliga 2. So I've got a lot of Bundesliga 2 cards, which could become champion cards next season if some of them get promoted. So that's kind of my Bundesliga 2 strategy. Then I got these 4 cards. I said I'm backing Wolves. So I used my credit discounts on these 2 cards where I got them for half price. So I basically paid £1.80 for him and £2 something for Evan Nielsen. And I may have even got a slight discount on Adam Wharton. So I think my £5 discount went across these 3 cards. And then I traded another Bournemouth defender. So I have got Wharton at Crystal Palace. I said Crystal. So basically what I've done is I've picked Wolves because I already had Nelson Semedo. In Classic, I have Sam Johnston, the Wolves goalkeeper. Now that's a bit of a risk because Sam Johnston got a mini injury. Sar's come into the team. And then there was rumours that Sar would be dropped at the weekend and Johnston would come back. But Johnston didn't come back, even though he's back in training. Now, I don't know what that means. Sar made a big mistake in the game. So I'm really hoping Johnston comes back in goal, because then I've got the classic Wolves goalkeeper, Nelson Semedo in defence. I've bought Hawkstrand Larsen because he's been playing every game for Wolves and 90 minutes all of these games. And when he scores, he does okay. He's a bit like Chris Wood. When he scores, he's been getting good scores. When he doesn't score, he's not been getting great scores. But these have been in tricky fixtures. Aston Villa, Wolves, Brighton. These are tricky games. Scored against Manchester City, scored against Newcastle. And Wolves' fixtures are about to get good. Wolves have had a really tricky start to the season, but they just showed some promise in their last game. They drew against Brighton. Can we see more fixtures? They narrowly lost against Liverpool, and I'm hoping that that's enough for promising. Now, they've got 2 home fixtures coming up. Crystal Palace at home, Southampton at home. Then an international break. So if Wolves get 2 wins there in 2 good fixtures, then an international break, go to the international break in good form, and then they've got good fixtures after the international break as well. They've got Fulham and then Bournemouth. Now, these aren't hard games. So I know it's a bit of a punt, but I bought this guy, Hallglasser, for £1.80 with the market discount. So £1.80 for a striker, 24 years old, playing every game for Wolves. They've got now good fixtures. I'm hoping I can play him alongside Semedo and Sam Johnson if he gets back in goal. Then that's 3 Wolves cards in a Premier League lineup. I'm bidding on Doyle, a cheap defender, a cheap midfielder at the moment who played the last game, Tommy Doyle, young, promising player. If he can stay in the team as well and Wolves have a good run, that's a fixture. Now, Bournemouth are the other team that I'm doing this with. Evan Nielsen, because I bought him again, got him for half price. Bournemouth also are about to go on a good run of fixtures. And Evan Nielsen has scored and assisted, or is this, what's this little logo? This means penalty 1. So he's given 3 good scores in his last 4 games. Now they're going to go on a good run of fixtures, Bournemouth. They've got Manchester City this week, where that's not a good fixture, obviously, but even that could be a good fixture. Man City at home could be a bit of a good fixture for Bournemouth. Man City have got a lot of injuries. De Bruyne, Grealish, Doku, Savinho, Bob, Walker, all of these players are injured for Man City at the moment. So, and they've just lost Man City. They just lost in the Cup midweek. Is this a good time to play Manchester City? If it is, Bournemouth have got Man City and then a great run of fixtures. So I've kind of jumped the gun a bit early. I've gone 1 week early with my Bournemouth purchases because I had the market credits, because I thought the prices were a little bit low. I think if they get a good result against Man City, everyone will then see the good fixtures and then go for Bournemouth. I've gone for Bournemouth 1 week before that. So that's Zabani, Evan Nielsen, Lewis Cook, who I already bought. And then I've got Kepa in goal as the classic card for my Chelsea collection. So once again, I've picked Wolves and Bournemouth because I had the classic goalkeepers to match. I had Kepa and I had Sam Johnstone. But I don't think Bournemouth is as shocking of a pick. I think Wolves is a little bit of a gamble, big gamble. But here's hoping. I'm now the biggest Horgan Strand Larsen fan. I'm now the biggest Nelson Semedo fan. If they can keep their good scores going, if Wolves can go on a good run, we might have 2 Premier League in-season lineups that are competitive. I think at the moment we've got 1, the Nottingham Forest collection. If we can combine Wolves with a bit of Bournemouth and find a winning formula there, like Larsen and Evan Nielsen, 2 strikers, if one of them can just get in good form, if Adam Wharton can kind of show the form he's had, because Adam Wharton, and also I've gone for Wharton, who's 20 years old, Zabani, 21 years old, and 24 years old and 24 years old. So these are young cards as well. So I'm kind of also thinking resale value later. So if this doesn't work out, they're young cards that should still keep playing in Sorare for a while. Maybe I can sell them. So I am trying to think as well. I'm not going in for like 34-year-olds who are going to have very little future playing time. Even though I know classic cards aren't worth as much these days, I do still think, let's say Wolves get relegated, but keep all of these cards and players, there could be a really good championship team next year. Same with Bournemouth, Crystal Palace. So I'm kind of also picking players that I think are good. I do think all of these guys are good players. And if they move, there's some resale value there. But within season, my mentality is it's this season only. I'm just thinking for this season only. Can Bournemouth have a good season? Can Wolves save their season? Can Palace save their season? And can Forest continue to have a good season? That's kind of been my in-season strategy so far. So they're the new cards that I bought. Let's now take a look at my lineups for the coming weekend. Here are my lineups for game week 23, which is November the 1st to the 5th. Happy bonfire night. So I'm loving these warm-up competitions, by the way. I didn't win anything from the warm-ups just gone, but it's just an extra lineup and it's free. So why not just keep chucking in some warm-up lineups here? So I'm going to be going for Barcelona and Bayern Munich. A lot of people will be doing this, I'm guessing. So what I've done is try to be a little bit different and go 4 Bayern Munich, 1 Barcelona. And then in my champion, I've kind of done the opposite. I've gone more Barcelona with just a few Bayern Munich in the other lineup. So basically, I've got Kepa in goal, Sam Johnston in goal, and West Ham goalkeepers. And all of those goalkeepers aren't necessarily guaranteed to be playing. Kepa might have an injury, Sam Johnston might have an injury, and West Ham, we're not fully certain who's going to be in goal. So I can't put as many lineups out this week because that's 2 Premier League goalkeepers that aren't playing, and that's 3 Premier League goalkeepers that could be not playing. So what I've done is I've not been able to put any champion lineups this week. So there is a special competition where it's a cap 260. You have to put all the L15s have to be under 260. So I've kind of taken this more seriously this week because I can put contender goalkeepers here. So my contender lineups have been reduced as well, but put in a few champion cards mixed in with contender cards. So these boys at Burgos are contender cards. I've got an Al Hilal, I've got a Saudi Arabian card, Koulibaly playing, Premier League and contender. So I've put a big mix of cards here. Solanke, I'm hoping he can get back to scoring for Tottenham. The Bayern Munich card here. So I've put out some good cards in my Cap 260 lineups. And I'm kind of taking it a little bit more seriously. I don't usually take the special competition seriously. Usually it's like an afterthought. But this week, because also my under 23 cards all had really tricky fixtures, I've gone for the special lineup in a way more serious lineups than I would. So let's hope they can do well. Then we're doing Premier League in season, baby. And it's a bit different. So this, I'm now in Division 3 with my Nottingham Forest team. I'm going to play, and Nottingham Forest have another good fixture. This is why I went for Nottingham Forest. I had a good set of fixtures. And that's why I've also gone Wolves and Bournemouth. Good fixtures coming up. So Nottingham Forest, I'm going to go for the goalkeeper, the defender, and Hudson-Odoi. I would love to have Chris Wood in this team, but sorry I have him down as 10%. On other lineup predicting software tools, they have him as a bit higher, but no one has him as 100% guaranteed to play. So I don't want to take that risk, even though it's a good fixture with Chris Wood. Unfortunately, I can't play Chris Wood. And I've also got Morgan Gibbs-White, who I'd love to play in a fixture like this, but he's also, I think, 75% chance of playing. So I'd love to have Chris Wood, Morgan Gibbs-White, and go full out Nottingham Forest. But they're injury doubts. I've got a lot of injury doubts this week, so it's a bit unfortunate for me. So I'm going to be chucking in Evan Nielsen in this team. It's a bit of a gamble, but I did say Man City, injuries. Bournemouth beat Arsenal, drew to Villa. They're in good form. Maybe Evan Nielsen can pop. Man City like to concede a goal. They're not known for their clean sheets, Man City. So maybe Evan Nielsen can do something here. And then I've got a lot of Chelsea cards. As you know, I've got a lot of Chelsea cards. And Chelsea are playing Manchester United away, which 2 weeks ago would have been a great fixture. Now that Manchester United have sacked their manager, I'm really not expecting a good result here for Chelsea. Man United are going to be up for it. Players are going to be trying to impress the new manager. It's a terrible time for Chelsea. It's away at Old Trafford. The fans might be a bit more optimistic now Ten Hag's gone. I think it's going to be a difficult fixture. What I'm hoping is that it's like a high-scoring game. I can see Man United scoring 1 or 2. I just got to hope Chelsea score 3 or 4, and it's a really high-scoring game. So with that in mind, I'm going to be playing Cole Palmer. I'm not going to captain Cole Palmer like I usually do. I'm going to captain Hudson-Odoi because I think West Ham, even though they won last week, West Ham, that could be a one-off because they were playing Manchester United with Ten Hag. So let's see what happens. And Forest are at home. So I'm going to be going Hudson-Odoi captain. Then my mixed Premier League in-season team, I'm going to be playing Nick Pope in goal. I'd love to have played Sam Johnston in goal, the Wolves goalkeeper with my other Wolves cards who are playing Crystal Palace at home. I'm hoping that's the beginning of the turn of fixtures for Wolves, that they get good now. We don't know fully how it's going to go, but that's what I'm hoping. But Sam Johnston not being fully fit means I'm going to play Nick Pope this week instead. They've got a tricky fixture at Arsenal, but Arsenal haven't been like in the most amazing form lately. And Newcastle, even when they lose, they're not known for conceding lots of goals. They're at home. So I'm hoping even if they lose, he makes a lot of saves and gets a semi-respectable score. Then I'm going for the two Wolves boys. Semedo, Larson. Wharton is here just as a placeholder until I get Tommy Doyle, hopefully from auction. Tommy Doyle played last week, did well. And Wolves have a few injuries in midfield, so Tommy Doyle is expected to play again. So if I get that auction in, Tommy Doyle will play instead of Wharton. And then Lewis Cook again. Bournemouth are playing Man City, so I've got my Bournemouth here spread. Again, hoping that it's a tight game, hoping Lewis Cook gets some involvements, hoping Evan Nielsen gets some involvements. Spreading them because I feel like both of them in the same team feels a bit risky, but spreading them, maybe one of them can do well and do well for one of these lineups. Then we've got Premier League Classic. Chelsea. This is my Chelsea lineup against Manchester United away. Jackson, Neto, Reece James. Hoping that there's goals, basically. Then Aaron Ramsdale in goal, because I don't have the Chelsea goalkeeper. Sanchez, I don't have Sanchez. I do have Chelsea's backup goalkeeper who plays in Europe. Jorgensen, but not Sanchez. So Ramsdale at home to Everton. Could be a good fixture. And then Kovacic at Bournemouth. So if the Bournemouth experiment doesn't work here, I'm hoping Kovacic then gets the points for Man City. So Kovacic will play here. Then we've got a whole mixed bag here. I have no idea what's going to happen with my second Premier League lineup. Fabianski I'm going to put in goal because I'm assuming he dropped Areola for some reason. Fabianski came in and they won. So it would be pretty weird if he dropped Fabianski for Areola. So I'm going to be playing Fabianski and not Areola this week. James Tarkowski, maybe I'm hoping Southampton Everton is 0-0. Calvin Phillips, bit of a surprise pick here. Ipswich have got Leicester at home. So I've got Calvin Phillips' card for my West Ham collection. I'm thinking, when if I'm not going to play him now, when am I going to play him? So let's give Calvin Phillips a week. Maybe against Leicester at home, that's a nice fixture for him. Bowen away at Forest. So obviously I'm having Forest do well there. But if they don't, Bowen maybe is a consolation. He should be involved in the goals. And then Mr. Inform, Mr. Mexico, Raul Jimenez, captain against Brentford at home. That's all for my Premier League. I'm not putting the third Premier League lineup this week. Dwight McNeil is a bit of an injury doubt, but 75% chance of playing Sorare I've given him. So I'm going to be playing him in my warm-up league where I'm playing Liverpool and Ipswich because they're playing Leicester at home. So I'm really banking on Ipswich this week, here and here. Champion, nothing. Nothing in Champion this week because of goalkeepers' injuries, except for a Champion warm-up team where I've put Destiny Udogie because I'm not putting an under-23 lineup out this week because I didn't have enough good fixtures for my under-23 cards. I'm putting Destiny Udogie, who's usually in the under-23 lineup. I'm putting him in this lineup with a bunch of Barcelona cards, and let's see what happens there. Challenger, I'm not doing Challenger in season because they've got really tricky fixtures, but I am doing a Classic with some cards like Stukers and Nejli, who sometimes play in the under-23 lineup. They've got tricky fixtures, these guys, and then they've got tricky fixtures. Basically, everyone's got tricky fixtures here, so I don't know what to expect, but some of them are good scorers, like Stukers, Calvo, even when they have hard games. And then Jan-Nicholas Best there, who's come back in the Benfica team lately. He's a 10% chance of starting this week, but now that he's back in the team, Benfica have got a good fixture as well. He started last game. He started the last game against Rio Ave. He came off the bench against Feyenoord. I'm hoping he starts in an easier fixture, or if he comes off the bench, because it's an easier fixture, he can come off the bench and still do well. So I'm going to place Jan-Nicholas Best there, a favourite of mine. If you've been watching the channel for a while, last season he was a big favourite of mine when he was playing in Germany. So I'm really hoping he can get his season going. His injuries kind of been a bit annoying because he was on a good run of form for Benfica, but hopefully, I'm hoping he gets back to that good form. David Fofana, why not? Why not? Playing in Turkey now. Let's see what happens. Then we've got Contender, no in-season. My out-of-season Contender Classic team, Division 2 now. Division 2 now. These are all big players. Big players do well. On their day, these guys all can get in the 90s. So let's see how they do. I've got a second Contender team with Obed, who's usually my under-23 goalkeeper. He's in here now, along with Luca Itta, who I've just signed. Brunetta did really well for Tigres last game. I think he scored or assisted. So I'm going to captain him and hope he can continue his good form. And then these boys are in good form as well. Then there's a warm-up. Under 23, I'm not putting an under 23 lineup. I'm just doing a warm-up under 23 this week. And that's the under 23 warm-up. This is the contender warm-up. This is the under 23 warm-up where John Duran is making an appearance. So if John Duran, Spurs Villa should be a high-scoring game. Any game with Spurs, I feel like should be a high-scoring game. So maybe John Duran gets back to his goal-scoring ways, comes off the bench against Spurs, maybe. And then I've got Bayern Munich and Barcelona cards as well. So, those, and then a whole bunch of training lineups. So those are my lineups for this weekend coming up. Good luck with your game weeks, people. Like and subscribe. Give me all of that good stuff. I always appreciate that. These are the lineups I'm most excited about. Premier League in season. I'm having a lot of fun with that. So let's see 2 lineups this week for the first time in season Premier League. Let's see how that goes. I'm excited. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next week. Peace.